Hey everyone, hope everyone's doing good. Wanted to put out a quick video on my kiln. I had some questions about it, specifically how I did it, how it works, and what my experience was with it. So here is my furnace, and in the background, the blue there, you can see the shipping container. My shipping container is 40 foot long. At the time, I paid 3,000 US dollars for it, and right now I believe they're around $4,000 to $5,000. But my suggestion on that is just look around and don't look farther than you might think, because with shipping containers, for instance, I had people quoting me 6 hours away that weren't out of the ballpark, or they were close to within people that were closer to me. So shipping containers usually can come from farther away, so keep that in mind. So first thing, these three pipes here, the rusty one in the back, that's the flue pipe. This is the pipe here where it comes from the shipping container, gets forced around the heat box in the furnace here, and then this is where it comes back out of the furnace and then goes back into the shipping container. Back here, the blower, the furnace blower, used to be inside of here, but I took sheet metal and then I used like fireplace caulk, like a heat caulk that's made for heat, and put it on there and then resealed it back up. This here is just where you force the air into the heat box to make it run hotter, or during startup, it's very valuable. It forces air in there and it's a lot easier to start a fire or get it hot, get the fire going. And then I do have that on a speed controller there in the back, so I can control the speed of how much air is getting forced into the heat box. So my furnace, I found it on a marketplace. My suggestion with that is just try to look around. There's usually quite a few of them around here in the United States, at least, within driving distance of people that are just getting rid of these old ones. This is definitely inefficient. It needs insulation or something all around it, because a lot of heat is just getting lost to the outside environment. Another thing I want to do is paint my shipping container a darker color, preferably black, because the darker you paint it, the more, when the sun hits it, it'll absorb the heat more. So that's another thing I want to do. It gets pretty warm in there in the summertime, even with just this lighter blue color. So we'll go ahead and go inside here. And there's my stack of ash boards, and then this tarp up top is basically like a baffle, and I'll kind of explain that here in a second. There's my dehumidifier, and then right there is my blower. So the blower sucks the air from in the kiln, in the shipping container, into here, forces it out into the furnace. It comes back from the furnace up here, gets distributed to the top of the shipping container, so it gets really hot up in here. And then this tarp, or baffle, whatever you want to call it, kind of tries to keep that hot air from going down on this side. And then I have box fans all lined up on this side, and those box fans force the air through the slats. As the air goes through the slats, it picks up all the heat off and the moisture, humidity off the boards. It comes over on this side, and then the tarp kind of channels it over here where it gets sucked back in by the blower. The blower takes it through the heat box where it gets dried out a little bit, or the dehumidifier takes it and takes the moisture out of the air, and then it goes out through this garden hose here in the back. And then I got that running out back. A lot of water comes out of this small dehumidifier. So, does a shipping container work good as a kiln? Yes and no. Yes, it works great when it is sunny outside and it's warm, but when it's night or cloudy or cold, it needs to be insulated if you want it to get hot. So through the summertime, it stays pretty warm. What I've learned is the heat will come in here, it'll heat the air temperature up. The air temperature will heat the boards up. The box fans are blowing air around in here, and it's taking the moisture off the boards. The dehumidifier takes the moisture out, and it works pretty good just with that, with no heater on it, with no furnace. So you can use a shipping container in a hot environment or a warm environment or during the summer, and it works really good. But if you want to use it and it's cooler outside or no sun, it needs to be insulated or it'll slow down the time that it takes to dry. So the main benefit I see of a shipping container and why I did it, what my experience was, is I needed a structure fast. I didn't want to really build anything. I didn't want to pay to build it. And even if I paid to build it at the time, it was hard to build something this size that's airtight and watertight for $3,000. So that's why I did it. I spent another $1,000 on the dehumidifier, the furnace, and like the ducts and the controllers and everything like that. So I have $4,000 in on it whenever I did it about a year ago, or got started on it about a year ago. So it works really good in a nice hot environment. If you're trying to do it in the cold and you think you're gonna get, you're gonna kill them like all year through the winter, you're gonna need to at least put something to insulate this. I think with very thin, if you insulated that furnace outside, and if you put a thin layer of insulation in here, you would already have massive gains in efficiency and how warm you could keep it in here. And if you did those two things alone, then if you had enough, wood to burn, then I would say you would be fine. Another thing I want to point out is the electrical needs. So I have one 20 amp, in America, usually a circuit's 20 amps, 120 volts AC. And I recommend two, because you need one for the dehumidifier and you need one for the blower and everything else. Depending on, how much you're going to put in here, how many fans you want to run, and how many dehumidifiers and how big of a dehumidifier, you may need more than that. So you're going to have to calculate your electrical needs, something I underestimated. So I recommend everybody else just pay a little closer attention to. I only could run 2 box fans because I was afraid I was going to trip the breaker. So I had to come in here every couple of days and manually move these box fans all over and share them basically, so that I didn't have to put in another circuit. But going down the road, I'll probably put in another circuit, and then I could have as many box fans in here as I want, and I really don't need to come in here as much to move things around and check on things. So overall, shipping container kiln works really good. I just suggest painting it a dark color, and if you think it's going to work in the cold, you're going to have to insulate it. So I think that pretty well sums everything up. To give you some numbers, I guess, or some data, like I said, the air temperature always read hotter than what I read the wood temperature is. So the wood temperature is different because you have to think of it almost like these, especially when you have big beams like this, it's almost like concrete because they absorb the heat and then they slowly release it. They're like big masses. So it would always be hard to increase the temperature inside. And then, but once you got it to, let's say 80 degrees was I felt like it was a sweet spot through the summer. And I'm talking about Fahrenheit too. So it seemed like through the summer with minimal effort, that wood temperature would stay right around 70 to 80 degrees, I would say, through the summer. When you had the sun would come out, you'd have long days. It would get pretty hot in here, the air temperature would, but the wood temperature would never get as hot as the air temperature. Like you might have 120, 130 degree air temperature in here, but the wood was like, 90 degrees. So when I run the furnace on it, to give a little bit of data, the hottest I could even get it, and this was in the summertime, the hottest I could get it, the air temperature was around, it was around 140. It definitely, I don't think was ever over 150 degrees, but around 140, 150 degrees. But the wood temperature never got much over 120 degrees. And I did that for pretty much a day in the summer. So I believe most places, to kill insects and fungus and stuff like that, I believe it's like around 140, 150 degrees wood temperature for like 30 minutes or an hour or something like that. You definitely want to research that. But that was my attempt to try to kill any insects. And I did, out of my ash board, out of my ash boards, I did find quite a few of these, and that is an ash borer, and that's basically what is killing all of the ash trees where I live. So I hope this information helps everyone. Hope everyone has a good day. Have any questions at all, feel free to ask, and I hope everyone has a good day.